What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be answering a question that I have been getting a lot of lately, which is, do I store my cars in the winter time? Now that we are approaching the winter season, I'm getting a lot of questions about kind of winter updates and winter items associated with sports cars. So if you're new to the channel, this is my A90 Toyota Supra alongside my R35 Nissan GTR, and for the heck of it, we're going to throw in my Yamaha R6 just because that is my other vehicle. So to start it all off, something that I need to do in today's video and something I just ordered is another battery tender. This is definitely something you're going to want to have for the winter time. So this one I've had for about 2 years. This one I'm going to be somewhat hardwiring to the GTR. I've been basically using this back and forth between the GTR and the R6. I've been using this to clamp onto the GTR's battery, and then on the R6, up underneath my peg here, I keep the other end as that cap flies off of this one right here to where I can easily plug it in. So we're gonna do this system onto the GTR as well. So the one that I just ordered, and you can actually get both of these right on Amazon, that's where I've bought these, and I'll have these two products linked down below. You'll see them down there. This is about a $25 one. This one I think is around $40 to $50. So going ahead and looking at the kit, this is the actual battery tender system with its full cable and then the plug. And then we have the hardwire cables right here, has a built-in 7.5 amp fuse. And then we have the less hardwire, you can easily just clamp this on and off of different batteries. And then looking at my R6, I already have this one all tied in, this cable right here, and this one right here, and then there's that fuse, and then it goes right to the plug out the bottom. So before I get this hardwired in, to answer the question, do I store my cars for the winter? My answer is no, not at all. I live in North Carolina. For a lot of you newer viewers, there is zero reason for me to store these cars. We might get 1 day of snow per year, if that. 2020 so far, we have not had any snow sticking to the ground. In March, I believe, we did snow a little bit. Nothing stuck to the ground. I took the Supra out to try to do some donuts, and it was just like driving in the rain. It was nothing. So I don't store my cars. There's no need to. Friends of mine who live way up north where it snows for 4 months out of the year, they store their cars because they simply cannot move their cars for that long. But along with that, when the cars are sitting, because I can't exactly drive 3 vehicles at once, what do? The biggest thing is the battery tender. I don't really plan on running one on the Supra because I use this a little bit more day to day. I do a lot of small trips in this, running out to the grocery store and back, things like that. The GTR I might only drive twice a week, but whenever I drive this, I usually put 50 to 100 miles on it. The Supra, I drive it more often, but maybe 10 to 30 mile trips. This, less often, but 50 to 100 mile trips. So I drive them a little bit differently. So the GTR definitely needs the battery tender hookup because I might go a week depending on what's going on in my life and everything like that. So since this will sit a little bit longer, just to make sure the battery isn't gonna die, I'm gonna hook it up to the battery tender. And then with the R6, winter time, when it's below 30 degrees, that's when I really rarely drive it. I've driven it once in 20-degree weather, and that was a big mistake. My hands were so freezing cold within like 5 seconds. That was a stupid decision. I went 3 miles. But 40 degrees and above, I ride this all the time. I ride this as much as I possibly can. On average for 1 year, now that I have reached 1 full year of owning all 3 of these vehicles together, I drove this about 5,000 miles, this about 4,000 miles, and the bike around 3,000 miles. So that's about how much I put on each vehicle in 1 year. Pretty good amount of driving for not having a day-to-day commute like a normal person with a normal job. And then in the winter, especially when it is freezing cold, every week or so I'll move the bike and park it a little bit different. That way I'm not gonna get flat spots all around the tires. So if you have a motorcycle, do that. Same with a car. If you are gonna be storing it a little bit, try to be able to move your car a foot or two forwards and back wherever you park it. That way it's not just sitting on the tires with really cold ground, because you don't want flat spots on the tires as well. You can get tire cushions. I don't think I'm gonna need them because I do drive them enough. But anyway, that is kind of a rundown on these 2 cars particularly. I'm also gonna talk to you about how I drive each car in the winter. So once we get this done, we'll talk about that. But that's the R6 for you, nothing too crazy. I keep that on the battery tender during the winter, move it every now and then just to keep the tires good. On to the GTR now, let's get this set up. So the battery is actually located right under here, as you can see. But one thing I just noticed, and I've known about this spot right here, if I pull this up, we actually have a plaque right here with the VIN number, Nissan Motor Co., R35 it says, and it even says made in Japan down on this far right side. So pretty cool, you get some information on it. But I'm gonna take this whole panel off, and run this to where it's connected to the battery, of course, but then the actual piece that I'm going to be using to plug in will be in here, just so I have to reach a little bit less, because normally I have this car parked in forwards and it's a tight corner over there to actually get to this area of the car, since I have to stand from way over here. So I think if I do it out of here, it'll be a little bit easier access than having to reach an extra foot up to the actual terminals. So now to access the terminals, I'm just gonna pop that off. This has been broken since I bought it, so your car shouldn't look like that. I'm just gonna take the negative cable now and actually slide it in between this terminal area. That way this bolt can sandwich it together. And then over onto the positive side, I guess that'll just be more like that. Alright, so with those all connected nicely, the fuse is just gonna basically chill in there. And I'll just slide this up and down and kind of intertwined its way. That way it's nice and flush in here. So there we have it, nice hardwired battery tender for the GTR. All I gotta do is pop that one off, and my cable is right here, and I can easily plug in this end to the car, which is gonna be a really convenient way to do it. There you go, that is how you pretty much install one of these, and I can easily tuck this away very nice and conveniently. So with that out of the way now for the GTR, are there any precautions I take when driving this car in the winter? Not really, to be quite honest. So I'm rocking the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires all around. The previous tires were Pilot Super Sports. So I've always been running max performance summer tires on this car since I've owned it, coming up on 3 years now, and I've always had performance tires like you just heard. So with that, the only thing I've noticed is don't launch control the car if it's under 40 degrees. That's really the only difference. Other than that, the car can put the power down very well. Even when it's raining out or really cold out, I can floor it and it's not really gonna break loose. So it does a really good job managing power given it's all-wheel drive. Just the battery's the only thing on this car. Just make sure you plug it into the tender if you're not driving it every day. And that's it. That is the winter GTR, no big deal. Now we gotta get the Supra outside, so we'll get a cold start because I gotta wash it because it has been far too long. And as you can tell, it might be just a little bit on the dirty side. Yeah, it's got a really good cold start to it. Definitely love the way that thing sounds. And I haven't driven the Supra in about a week now because we have been doing other things. And also, this is the first time seeing all the carbon in the sunlight. I haven't had the car out because it's been raining and we've been doing many other things, but first time seeing the carbon in daylight. The steering wheel definitely looks super sick, and I love how the vents turned out, and then the dry carbon. If you missed that video, that'll be linked down below. But we can get these really good now in the sunlight, carbon glistening, dry carbon, and then seeing the interior. That is definitely super, super sick. Alright, and after a fresh car wash, the Supra is finally back to being a nice clean car because it has been severely neglected, I'm not gonna lie. So, onto the Supra as far as winter driving. This car is rear wheel drive. The full tune has 560 wheel torque with 450 horsepower at the wheels. So it's got a lot of power to the rear wheels, and I am running the OEM tires, which are the Michelin Pilot Super Sports. Now with this car in the full tune, if it's like 75 degrees out or more, I can hook pretty well and get some traction. But I've noticed under 60 degrees in the full map, it actually spins very easily, and it's actually hard to drive the car and floor it. and try to have some fun with it without it just spinning first, second, and third gear. So what I'm doing with the Supra, now that it is getting into the fall, getting into the winter driving, I'm actually running it in the map one below the full boost map. So that means I am now putting out 520 wheel torque, and I believe it's like 420 horsepower. And I've noticed with that tune, I can floor it now and it's not spinning. So that's kind of the only thing I'm really doing for the Supra now that it's getting colder and being a tuned car. The GTR with the all-wheel drive, even though we're tuned up, 600 wheel horsepower roughly, it doesn't spin because it's all-wheel drive. The rear-wheel drive car is a completely different type of car to drive. So that's something I've noticed. Ooh. Well, that, I think, is how you end a video. All right, we're just gonna shut that off real quick. But I think that is about gonna wrap it up for today's video, talking about what I do with each of these cars for the winter time. No, I do not have to store the cars because we don't get any snow. It might snow once or twice a year. If it does, I can stay home or, well, steal Mike's vehicles and go for a blast in the snow. But I think that's about it for winter information on these two cars. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next video.